going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Evelyn is has a conflict. She is the chair, of course, and Tasha is the vice chair. When she comes in, she's trying to still connect, and I, of course, will turn it over to her. But so that we can go ahead and get started, want to give a welcome to Brandon Hickman, who is your newest member. And we welcome you, Brandon, if you want to share anything. I think everybody knows who you are, but just in case you want to share something with the group.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. And what do we need? Let's get to work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So everybody knows Tasha Thomas is coming on. She's the vice chair. Evelyn is the chair. Miss Sylvia is the secretary, who is awesome. Commission members Raymond Davis, Kamika Sidbury, and Shamika, please help me. Shakima. Thank you, Shakima. She's
That's okay.
So we welcome all of you, and we welcome Brandon to the table. Tasha Thomas, are you able to connect? So Miss Sylvia, can you go ahead and do the roll call?
Sure. Willie Black.
He is excused. He had a conflict doctor's appointment, so he did send his report.
Raymond Davis.
I'm here.
Atiba Johnson.
Atiba's still trying to connect. He just sent me a note.
Okay. Kamika Sidbury.
I'm here.
Okay. Evelyn Bryant.
She had a conflict, but she's
okay. Sylvia's here. Shakima.
I'm here.
Tasha Thomas.
Present.
All right. And of course, Penny Sidbury.
Yes, ma'am. And Brandon Hickman is your newest member.
All right, Brandon Hickman, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tasha Thomas, are you able to preside from where you are?
I think so.
Okay, so you want to pick up with the approval of the meeting minutes?
Sure. Sorry. Has everyone had a chance to go over the meeting minutes? I think they were sent out today, correct?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
I've had a chance to look at them.
Okay, all right. Can we get a motion from the floor to approve the minutes if there are no corrections?
Motion to approve.
Shakima.
And your name? I forgot.
Shakima Clinton Quintana.
Okay.
And I second.
Raymond second.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Hold on one second. I'm trying to. Thought I just downloaded the agenda. Bear with me a minute. Okay. Okay. Penny, I think you just did the welcome new commission member.
Right, but you have a
Okay.
motion on the floor from Shakima, seconded by Raymond, so you need to call for a vote.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
So we can pick up with old business, update on projects is where we should be.
okay. Let's see, the historical marker for 1406 Orange Street, and you said Willie is out.
Willie's
He's
out.
unexcused.
Yes, he did send his report. So
Okay,
Colonel
great.
said he did communicate with the Historic Wilmington Foundation. They reviewed his packet, and the executive director felt the packet was pretty complete. All the info was correct, and he was going to send a letter of support. Willie said hopefully we'll get that by the end of this week, and then we will go ahead and submit that packet to the Historic Preservation Group. But the executive director of Historic Wilmington felt the packet was complete, and they were going to give us a letter of support, so we should be ready to go on that one.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you know what the next steps are
That's
here?
it. It's going to get submitted to the Historic Wilmington Historic Preservation Commission. And if they approve it, then of course we'll proceed with getting the plaque and making sure it has, we'll do a program and a ceremony and that sort of thing. But the HPC has to first approve that.
Sounds great. And the next item is the partnership with Norcana African American Heritage Commission. Do you
Per,
have an update on that?
yeah, per the chairman, Evelyn, she has not gotten an update, but she wanted them to be at this meeting, but the folks have not responded. I think the gentleman was out of town. And so Evelyn said she'd shoot them another email and see if they can get them for your meeting in April.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so the next item under old business is the status of the request by Isla Speller.
That one is pretty much a go. We are just trying to get the state to accept the location that staff is proposing. If you're familiar with 3rd Street, where City Hall is located, between City Hall and facing 3rd, and there's what we call the flame. There's a statue with the burning flame that stays on all the time. That is the recommendation of where they felt like the state should put that plaque, because it will be out of the way of being damaged. And it will be across the street from the courthouse, which is what Ms. Speller wanted. So the goal is to put it in that vicinity.
So Ms. Seabury, the goal is to put it in that area originally chosen. Okay, so that's good.
Well, no, she originally wanted to be on the courthouse is what she.
Okay, but just in that vicinity, because I think when I initially talked to her, it was about just having it in that, maybe that,
Right.
I think called it the government area, the government center area. So
Yeah,
I think that's still a good location.
Yeah, at first they were thinking the state was trying to put it near the home, Lenny Simpson's home, but that was not very favorable. And they wanted to make sure it was someplace, or Islam did, where you could have a historical walkthrough or actually see it. So she wanted it downtown near the courthouse, and this is across the street from the courthouse.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is there anything else? Because we just need to have the letter of support and then the agreement, the location, and then that's it, correct? 'Cause
Right. In other words, the state of North Carolina told us back in December that it was one of their recommendations. They wanted it to go. They just need a location confirmed by the city. So yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And hopefully, because the state folks, Evelyn offered to talk to Ms. Speller, but the state young lady said she didn't mind talking to her, so that we wanted to make sure Islam was comfortable and okay with placing it where it is. So I think we're good to go.
If I
Okay.
may, what is that denoting? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Speller brought to the commission, she wanted us to have as part of the Civil Rights Trail for Dr. Eaton Sr.
Okay, great.
And she submitted the packet. Ms. Sidbury, Kamika Sidbury worked with her on putting it together for the state. And so the state received it favorably, because I think they were only doing, and Kamika, you help me with this, they were only doing a certain number of Civil War trails, and this Wilmington happened to be one. And they thought it was very, it was justifiable to have Dr. Eaton one here in this particular location. The only thing different is Ms. Speller wanted to have it on the courthouse, which the county said, okay, they didn't have a problem with it. But then after the state took another look at it, they really didn't think that was the best site as we tell the history of the Civil War Trail. So that's what this particular thing is. And she's been working on it for quite a long time. Ms. Speller has.
Ms. Bella has been doing it for a while, because she's just been looking for recognition for Dr. E, not only in the medical or the health science area or the health arena, but as an advocate or a civil rights.
Civil rights, right.
And so the Civil Rights Trail is a physical trail where you can go to various sites in various cities, but they wanted to allocate some space to those in rural communities to make sure that they could benefit from tourism.
Right.
And then they have a virtual trail also, so that you can link through the state. She might be in her room. Through the state, I'm sorry, I'm still at work. Through the state historical Commission of African American History. And so once you go and you start reading about it, it's a very interesting program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamika. Um, let me see, I'm looking back at the February minutes and did we ever participate in the New Hanover County Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Department evening with Mary C. Williams?
No one responded. You all were extended invitation as well as complimentary tickets. And no commission member was able to attend that event, but it was a successful event.
Okay. And the Living Legends event, if I'm not mistaken, did we decide that Atiba and someone else is going to partner with him to look into that?
Tiba's on the line, but this would be under new business, Madam VP.
Oh, okay.
So that's new business. What you all said last, and it's in your minutes that you were wanting to do that again. So you need to conclude who the chair people would be. Mr. Johnson suggested it, and I think we tried to appoint him to that position, but he declined it. But you all need to decide what, if any, because this is March, and normally it's held in June. I don't think you're going to make the June date, but that's okay. We can work around a date. But whatever the case may be, you need to get started.
Okay. Did anyone want to take that on? Not for this year, but of course, next year, planning for next year? Just going to put it out there and see if there are any takers.
And remember,
I spoke with Madam Chairperson after the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So she informed me that I would be voluntold to chair that committee. And
Okay.
to get some
so Atiba is the chair of that committee. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So I between her and Madam Clerk, they're being so gracious and polite today. For some reason, I'm a little nervous. But I was voluntold that I would be chairing that committee, and I would just get some assistance from some people with that.
Does anybody?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for receiving being voluntold. So I think the next thing is I can send out an email to commission members, Atiba, with your proposed plan on getting this committee started. And you have, I mean, you all, once the committee brings back a recommendation on when it should be held, I mean, it may not be the same month that you normally would have held it, because you've already got some names submitted, because before the pandemic hit, we had a list of those folks that was recommended to receive such an award. So I think the big thing here is to get Mr. Johnson on point. And if anybody's wanting to work on that committee, to please let Atiba know, but he should be able to make a report by next meeting.
Okay, that's great. And the idea that I had, I was thinking that the AKA house at 5th and Red Cross should be designated with a historical marker. So I'm still doing research on the history of that property in order, to, I guess, put in an application or submit some information to the Historical Preservation Society on that.
Before you submit it, Tasha, before you submit it, you need to first submit it to the commission.
Okay.
And make sure the commission votes to move on such. So it needs to come to the committee here first.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Does anyone, apologize for the background noise. Does anyone have any other business to discuss?
Well, I just have a question, and this is Ms. Seabury. One of the things that I guess I've been thinking of pondering about is when we look at equity. I know we're not the equity department. I know that is another department, and we were going to discuss the Rise Together initiative. And so I didn't know if Mr. Conway was coming back just to give us an update.
Yes,
but
yeah, he's on the line, and he is going to, he's more than gracious. He's going to do a presentation to the commission. And Joe, you can chime in here, but the thought process was to get him at your April meeting to present.
Okay, well, can I kind of say, like, so one of the things, because there's a lot of talk about equity in housing, there's a lot of talk about Mountain Housing Authority, and there's a lot of talk about when we are demolishing housing projects. And so when we start looking at William Reed's and, you know, we look at his book, some people holding on to their copies because they can't just give me one, but I'm not gonna say who. But when we start looking at the historical nature of housing projects and why they were constructed and why when Hillcrest was built, what it was originally supposed to be and not what it is now. And you have other housing projects where individuals were allowed to buy their homes. And so when we go back and instead of developers coming in creating another district, like is the city looking into some of those things? And I know that has nothing to kind of do with this department, but it does, because when we go back to historical context and we look at, okay, Hillcrest was actually supposed to be homes that individuals were supposed to be able to buy. And so you're coming in trying to take this 26 acres because the city doesn't have money. And so I'm just trying to kind of steer this conversation to where people can think about the historical nature of housing and how that is impacting not only when we start looking at when in 1938 when housing projects were made, but how long of an effect that has, because people are not investing in housing that they cannot own. But however,
Yeah,
so I'm just asking questions.
right. I'm sure Joe can address that, but the first thing I want to make sure is clear: the city does not own Hillcrest. That is a housing authority project. Most of the developments are, and Hillcrest was originally put there as temporary housing for the sailors or something to come. It was not supposed to be what it is today, but it became what it is because it became what it is. And so just make sure that we all understand that this housing conversation is not under the city's jurisdiction. However, we are very up on affordable housing and workforce housing. The city has designated a lot of time, energy, and funds, and they are trying to work with the housing authority to remedy the situation. I know that the folks in the community are really upset. It came to council last Tuesday night, gave an update report, and folks did not leave with a good taste in their mouth. And so Joe was there, Mr. Conway was there. He's on it. It's probably part of his umbrella, Ms. Sidbury, but we are working in harmony with the housing authority. We're not there to take it over. Our elected officials are very in tune with it, but I'm sure Joe, when Joe comes, he will address it.
No,
Joe,
I'm not saying that anyone is taking it over. I'm not saying that anyone is not having a discussion about it. All I'm saying is we are the commission of African-American history, and this historical context, like when decisions are made, they have an historical impact on the city as a whole. And so that was just my question. And I guess it wasn't a question, it was a comment. And I know that because I have students who are in my classroom every day who are suffering from the situation. And so I'm not, but it is just that when we start going through the history, it's like it's repeating itself over again. And so if we're looking at it and we're putting markers and we're doing it and we're honoring, are we not honoring by bringing light? And so that's all I'm just asking.
Right. It's a good comment. It's a good question, and rightfully so. It's not anything that we have not heard, but I will tell you that we are doing our due diligence, trying to work with the housing authority folks. I serve on a couple committees, so does Joe. And I get it. You're at DC Virgo. I'm coaching at Williston, and my kids are affected. It's heartbreaking for them because they don't ask to be in this situation, and neither do the families that are being affected. So yes, I think it's a good conversation, and I'm sure Joe will bring us something back next month. If for some reason, Ms. Sabry, I'll just say this: if you know or hear, because young people sometimes with parents, they're very confident. There's a lot of confidentiality but if there's something that we should know, please email me. Or if it's some families that are not getting the help that they need, or needing, because they're requiring someone to fill out another voucher or whatever the case may be, please send that to us, to send it to Joe, so that we can make sure that they're getting the assistance that they need.
But I don't know.
I get it.
It's not just about them receiving the assistance. And so I'm gonna just say this out. It's not just about them receiving the assistance. It's about doing something different that should have been done a long time ago.
Right.
And so that's the conversation that I feel that needs to be had. Like, and we restrict it to just one thing. Like, that's just, if something was supposed to be done, if you are investing in a property, if it's 26 acres or however many acres, and whether you're on this board with WHA, or the city of Wilmington or New Hanover County, all of those different elements, because people are not, to me, home ownership is the number one investment in any community. And so if you can look at it, and if you are providing people have had a head start of 50, well, almost 80 years of home ownership where they were allowed to pass something down. That was just my question. And so I understand there are a lot of things that are going on within the city, but it's still not an affordable place to stay. But if that was just a target for it to be affordable, then that's what I'm looking at.
Understandable. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Berry, for bringing that topic up. Is there any other business that anyone wishes to discuss?
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ms. Tasha.
Okay, well, we will adjourn the meeting at 4:24 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you all. Appreciate your participation.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.